Welcome back, y'all. My name is Moon Magic. I'm a hip-hop artist, MC, and educator, aka the Hip-Hop Witch. And I've been feeling really called to come back on to the YouTube channel space and pull tarot and just share in that way. Usually I pull tarot exclusively just on my Patreon channel or at shows or in person with clients, but recently I've been feeling a lot more pulled to come back on here and share in that way. So I'm just gonna hop right into it. We just ended a full moon in Sagittarius, but you know, so we're still under those energies, but definitely my intention is for this reading to be helpful and guide you regardless of when you listen to it and be timeless in that way. If you'd like to join me, something I like to do before I get started reading is I like to ground myself in. I'll put a timestamp down below if you want to just skip right into the message. But I'm going to go ahead and ground myself into the energy. And it helps to also, you know, ground the person who's watching the video into the message and be able to, you know, receive the messages that are for you. So I'm just going to take a couple deep breaths and give my the time and ability to, you know, get into that space. You may join me, and we're going to take a deep breath in, a deep breath out, another deep breath in, deep breath out, another deep breath in. Thanking your guides, my guides, and the divine for this space today. Deep breath out. Deep breath in. Asking that these messages come in right in the way that they need to and be guided and channeled through to the person who's watching this, and exactly in the way that you need to hear it for where you are in your journey, no matter where you are in your journey. And breathe out. Another deep breath in. Thanking Spirit for this day and the sacred container. And a deep breath out. And shaking it off. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and jump in. I want to start with pulling the Hip Hop Tarot deck. It's my favorite deck because it's major arcana only and really helps me to kind of ground into and feel into what the overall energy is, since it's all the major arcana cards. So I'm going to start with the major energy. This reading is meant for the collective, so anybody who's watching this, and really because my channel is so small, my goal is also to have this reading be for those who are really meant to hear it, and you know, attract the right people to it to be able to receive the messages that they most need to hear at this time. So with that being said, I am going to go ahead and pull this card out right now of what energy are we all influenced by at this moment, and in the planets that are shifting and just where we are right now as a collective, what energy is coming through. All right, we have the Emperor reversed. Okay, that's really interesting. The Emperor reversed, immediately what I'm hearing actually is boundaries and protection, and really a relationship with that. Like, maybe your boundaries might be too rigid, maybe they might be too soft, maybe your discipline might be too structured, maybe it's not structured enough. But a lot of these conversations and energy that's happening right now is around this relationship of the structures, discipline, and boundaries in our life. So I'm going to go ahead and put this card to the side and keep pulling and see what else comes out. And start pulling for more specifically, how is this showing up in the collective right now? How is it showing up in our lives right now? I have the Hermit card. Okay. So yeah, it really does seem like a lot of self-reflection. Sorry if that clink was loud. Yeah, Three of Pentacles, Ten of Rods, and you have the Four of Swords. Yeah, it feels like, okay, so here's what's showing up right now. I have the Ace of Rods reverse, the Hermit card. As soon as it came out, it made me really feel like, if you're watching this reading, here's how the situation's looking. It's like this energy of feeling like possibly you are working towards something, whatever it is that's in your life. The energies that are showing up are things that are making you really think about your current structure, your discipline, maybe a balance between that discipline, like over giving and under giving. As I mentioned before, like maybe your boundaries are too rigid, or maybe you don't have any boundaries. It's this feeling of going within with the Hermit card here and really reflecting on that. And I think that reflection is coming down to really making the most of our energy with this Ace of Rods reverse, making the most of our inspiration. That sometimes we can feel stuck, and you may relate to that feeling of sometimes feeling stuck and feeling like you're not sure which inspired action to take because you don't have any inspiration coming through at that moment. And if you're in this feeling, I think collectively a lot of us are in this feeling of using that time to pause and go within and to reflect and to see how this relationship is playing out for ourselves. There's also the Ten of Rods here and the Three of Pentacles here. And what's interesting to me about the Ten of Rods and the Three of Pentacles is the Ten of Rods for me really represents being this long-term coming of something that you've been working on. There's this feeling and this idea of it being, you've been working on whatever this thing is, whatever this project is, whatever this chapter is in your life, whatever this maybe relationship, just feeling accomplished within yourself, parts of yourself that you've been working on. There's this feeling of having been worked on these things for quite a long time intentionally, and really paying attention to the little itty bitty details and really putting your head down and kind of just working, and just, you know, gives me, the Temperance isn't here, but it gives me a lot of Temperance vibes too, of like mixing this with that and really just trying to look at the fine details and trying to tinker with them, almost is the vibe that I'm getting, because it's almost like it's also giving me like the idea of a stew is also the energy, like you're making this stew that is your life, right? And you're throwing in a little bit of this, you're throwing in a little bit of that, you know, that kind of feeling and energy. And within that space of you're making this stew and you're heating it up and you're cooking, and you know it's going to be bomb, it's going to be tasty, you know, but you're having to you know, adjust the spices, add a little more water, or, you know, add a little more of the soup base, or, you know, put a little bit more of some spice in there and flavor for this stew that you're making in your life. And it's taken a lot longer is also what I'm saying with the Ten of Rods here, to be able to get to this point. You know, it's kind of like, you know, maybe you haven't made this stew before, you haven't been there before, but you're like, oh, I can do it, no problem, you know, and then you start putting everything together, you're like, wow, it's been hours now, you know, and shoot, I thought this was gonna not take this long, and this is really frustrating. There's been frustrations, there's been delays, there's been lots of learning, lots of growing, lots of moving through in not always fun ways that I feel like Spirit is showing. But a lot of it comes down to this understanding that I feel like what was working before wasn't fully working. And there's parts of ourselves with the Four of Swords, I feel like, that are being laid to rest, and parts that are there's a need for this balance of stillness and movement in your life right now. I feel like that's the overall message that I'm really getting with this Emperor card reversed and the additional cards that came out, and that need for stillness and pause. You know, it's not all go, 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 whatever you're working towards. Like, honor those moments of pause, honor those moments of stillness, and observe everything that's happening during that time without trying to put too much emotion or feelings as if you're failing. Because I feel like this is actually happening to help you to move around situations that would otherwise not work out the way that you want. Avoiding, it's like avoiding the frustration and delays. And even though you might feel that you are being delayed, you might feel that you're being, it's not moving in the way that you want it to move as smoothly. It's not that it's not working. It's this idea of like, sometimes a season that seems like a bad season in our life, or let's just take it down to like a day, a moment where it's not exactly feeling like the way you want it to in whatever it is that you're working towards, or maybe a frustrating conversation with someone, or just a frustrating, difficult day, doesn't mean that it's unfruitful. It doesn't mean that it's unseen. It doesn't mean that it's unvalued, even if it feels like, day in, day out the same thing, or feels like continuously coming up against obstacle, something that's long run. But it's also giving me this energy and vibe that if you could see it from the outside perspective, then you could really see how much growth there has been, how much transformation there has been, how much fine-tuning. It's really just giving me this vibe of like I was literally thinking of the Hierophant in terms of like this being like this huge, I feel like collectively there's a lot of initiation and transformation that's happening into a new era of being for a lot of people, individually and collectively, as we're seeing a lot of the current status quo, the current institutions, the current way things are being called into question and being analyzed deeper and being, put out on blast. There's a lot of this energy that's really people coming in with this wisdom of experience that of everything that we've gone through up to this point, that was difficult and hard, but is also giving us the ability to see the unseen, or to see what we couldn't see before, to question what we couldn't question before. We didn't have the knowledge or ability to, or wasn't the right time, or all of those little things that seem unfruitful, I'm really seeing are very fruitful and very purposeful, even when it doesn't feel like it is. And to this idea of just being in full on, I don't even want to say full on trust in it, because there's also this feeling of it's frustrating, and it's okay for this to be frustrating. It's okay to feel frustrated in this chapter of your life, or to go back and forth between feeling like, okay, things are going well, okay, I see where things are kind of flowing, and then being like, oh, it's giving me with the Two of Pentacles here, like this feeling of being, in the waves, and like, you're chilling and relaxing, and all of a sudden the waves get kind of choppy and you start going under, and then you're back, and it's like, okay, there's still rough patches or rough shores that waters that you might come up, turbulence, if we're using the analogy of a plane. But there is this idea that it's making you this Queen of Rods, or that you are this Queen of Rods, and the creative, fertile, inspirational energy and connection to the divine and what we're creating can be dirty and messy and chaotic, but there's this feeling of being this person in your life, whether you are a man or a female or identify as anything else. There's this idea of this creative, fertile energy of something being made and in the making, and it being super important for those boundaries and for that structure and for that discipline and for that give and take, and for there to be balance within all aspects of our life, so we don't burn out, and so that we don't overgive, and so that we don't lose who we are along the way. That does not mean that it's not working or not happening, but that instead it is like a checkpoint. And sometimes checkpoints can be a hassle. You have to get through, pull out the paperwork, and cross the T's, dot the I's, and whatever it may be, but they're necessary to the next step and the evolution and the progress and the growth. And I feel like that's what Spirit's showing collectively right now, is the energy that's happening with us. I'm gonna go ahead and pull an advice card right now and see what's going on. What advice does Spirit have for us collectively right now? Drop a comment down below if this message resonates and how it might be showing up for you in your life. I'd love to hear. And appreciated getting to hear the comments that people left on the last video. Power is the advice card. So immediately what I'm hearing and what I'm thinking is that perhaps in the past you didn't feel like you had the energy to deal with the ups and downs, the ebbs and the flows, or the setbacks and going forward. But I feel like now there's this feeling of understanding these seasons and how they are seasons in your life, and the way that a setback is not necessarily always a setback, and stillness doesn't mean that something's wrong or that it's not productive. All of these things that you're actually being able to see and understand and now observe, and now is giving you power, is giving you life, and is what makes this Queen of Rods, it's giving that vibe of like no longer forcing your energy, forcing something to happen, forcing something to work. And because of that, it works when it's meant to work, how it's meant to work. You're taking inspired action, even if it's not giving you, let's say it's not saying you're not doing anything in those times, but let's say you're working on something and you're like, man, I'm just not feeling it today, but you still do it in order to try it out or test it out. Or maybe you don't do it that day in order to give yourself rest, but trusting in each of those moments, you actually are exactly where you need to be in this season, and how much power that gives you when you start to understand your own ebbs and flows, and the ebbs and flows of the universe, and the ebbs and flows of what it is that you're building and creating in your life, and how those all work together in harmony to bring you balance and bring you forward. So I'm gonna go ahead and read what this one says. And excuse me, I got a cold or like some sort of cough. I don't know what it was, something from the allergy season. But I've had a persistent cough for like the last 3 weeks, and it's finally starting to go away. I've been wanting to do this video actually before and prior, talking about ebbs and flows, and wasn't able to because I was resting my voice, and part of it was just KO'd sleeping, but and resting. But let me find this and read it for you. This is also a lot of Rods energy. Like, I'm very interested in how this actually almost looks like the Rods and the Queen of Wands. So I just feel like there's a lot of manifesting, very potent manifesting energy all around us collectively right now, and fertile soil that has been tilled, has been worked on, has been cultivated. And yeah, it's hard work and over there sweating, but now it's like that drawback and reflection of like, okay, what are we planting? And I feel like a lot of people who are watching this, you probably already know what it is that you've been working on in your personal life, whether it's a goal with a relationship, a goal with within yourself and your own growing and healing, whether it's a goal within a family situation or a goal within your job or career. There's this knowing of, oh, I know exactly what it is that I've been working on. And that's probably what's made it the more frustrating, is that it's something that you've been working on and been cultivating for quite some time. So the Power card, here it is. You are more powerful than you could imagine. This card serves as a reminder that within you lies an infinite well of power that you can source whenever you choose. Throughout our lives, we may have given our power to others or had it stripped away, but we always have the ability to call it back. And for those who are on the Patreon, I'm gonna go ahead and put the exercise that's in the booklet down below in the description so you can check out the exercise. And if you're interested in joining the Patreon community, go ahead and click the link down below. I do individualized tarot readings for different tiers depending on what tier you are. And I also post journal questions and exercises like this one, prompts, other fun goodies on there. It's also where I just post unreleased content from my artistry and me as an artist, which I believe my music is also a way that I channel and my offering in the world. So if you're interested and want to check it out, check down below. But yeah, this card, when I look at this, I really think about this as really trusting the power that's within you and really leaning into that power. I think sometimes, a lot of times, we have situations that happen in life and it's so much easier to lean into the insecurity, lean into the fear, lean into the uncertainty with all the things that are happening in the world all the time than it is to lean into the ability of the deep power within us, and it being a source that we actually can choose to tap into and actively work on tapping into, and how when we choose not to, that makes us human. There's nothing wrong with that, and I think it's important to hold space for that at times, and speak to those parts of us who are calling our attention. And I think it's very important in shadow work to hold space for that, which I want to do another video on shadow work as well in a later time. But I also think it's very important, and I think what Spirit's showing here is the ability to come back, and even after you hold space and say, hey, I'm here for you. I understand that, sucks. Whatever that inner dialogue looks like, but then also being able to say, you know what, we're still a badass. We're still gonna work on this. We can still move forward and picking up those pieces. And I think that's really beautiful that this card is coming out as advice to remind you of that, even when the times get tough, that this well of inspiration and this well of power, even when you feel powerless, is actually there, and you can call it back to you. And I think those boundaries, going back to this Emperor card, observing and reflecting and taking that time in that hermit mode helps us to be able to also give our power, call our power back, and recognize the way we might be giving our power away to other people. Alrighty, I'm gonna go ahead and pull one more card. I feel the last card I want to pull is from the Moon deck, and it's a deck that has been with me for quite a long time, and always gives great confirmation and affirmative messages, and I'd like to end this reading on one. And thank you again for being here. I had two cards come out, so look at that. I was just talking about shadow work, and I think this is just extra confirmation that if that spoke to you, or if that as you're listening to it resonated with you, that might be something that maybe you're working through or have been called to do a lot of, or might be new to you even, and figuring out what that kind of relationship to that side of you is, and what that means for yourself, might be really fruitful during this time. So the first card that jumped out was the I love myself completely and unconditionally, and the medicine, there is medicine in my shadow card. So I'm going to go ahead and read that card first, since I was just talking about it. It says, shadow. Light and shadow can play a vital role in our growth. The dark and deep is as valuable as the light and the easy. When we accept that they coexist, we can embrace our shadow without letting it define us. As messengers of the night, owls navigate darkness with clear vision and instinctual wisdom. Owl is here to support your inner journey and awaken your ability to sense in the dark. Some of the greatest artists, healers, and teachers discover their most profound gifts in the realm. The medicine of your shadow taps you deep into your intuition, develops empathy, and is an opportunity to turn weakness into strength. Know that this deeper feeling awareness will ignite an unwavering and powerful core fire within you. As you share your light, do not shun your shadows. Cultivate compassion for every shade of your being. Yes, that's exactly the vibe that I was getting. And I'm going to go ahead and post the ritual companion from this booklet. This booklet has rituals and ways that exercises and things that you can also do to get more into that energy, to tap into that energy, to channel that energy. So if you're feeling called to that, I'm going to link that down below in the Patreon as well. And I'm going to go ahead and read the last card. I love myself completely and unconditionally, and I love this card. And I really believe that self-love is one of the hardest things to do. I feel like it's so much easier, I know speaking for myself, to give love and to, want to give to others in general than it is to allow myself to always receive love, and even that love from myself. So I'm going to go ahead and read this card. It says, self-love is daily. As we step off the roller coaster ride of trying to be something or someone that doesn't reflect our truth, we're learning to love and approve of where we are in this moment. You are worthy of complete and unconditional love. Call back all of the love you owe to yourself. The only validation that matters is your own. No one can give this to you or take it from you, except you. As the beauty of the lotus emerges from the mud, know that you can choose to make any challenge a stepping stone, guiding you to be the woman you are truly capable of. And this card, the Moon deck, is made by a collective of women. And so the cards are geared towards the female gender, but you can replace that word with any gender, any human being. I believe that this deck has a lot of wisdom and love regardless, and that soft touch regardless. It says, unlock this wisdom and welcome compassion. Take time to initiate your daily self-love rituals and make them a natural part of your life. The remedy is within. And I'll post the companion ritual as well down below on the Patreon. But I love that the remedy is within, and I really feel like that hermit energy that collectively a lot of us have been called in as we're going back and forth between having maybe lots of spurts of energy, maybe then feeling completely the need to kind of pull back, or things are flowing and then it's kind of going back and forth. If you're experiencing any of those energies, just know that the remedy is within, and that it is aligned to what it is that we need to learn during this time with that Hierophant energy. So I'm going to go ahead and leave it there. I want to thank your guides, my guides, and the divine for this space today. I want to thank everyone who tuned into this video, regardless of whether you're subscribed to the Patreon. Thank you so much for being here. If you like this video and like this content, make sure to like down below. And if you want to check out my music, you can check down the link below too to my new album Retrograde, which is out now on all platforms. And until next time, talk to you later. Peace and much love.
Win some, lose some, still be you. List of I wish I knew, just grow and grow. List of what I wish I could do, continue to move, respect where it's due. Like shooting lights, groove is tight, healing vibe, healing mind. Hit the town with my friends, vibes alternate, here for the trends.